Seen newspaper headlines for GCSE English lessons more convincing than this. Armageddon threats. Russia issues chilling warning to the West, threatening to unleash entire arsenal on London if it loses war in Ukraine. Yeah, 6,000 nuclear weapons, all going to be aimed at London. I think I speak for the rest of the country where I say, do it. You'll be doing us a favour, especially after what they've done to the London Overground line names. That's a joke, okay? I'm joking. If that's how it's going to be, you've just given the United States and France a green light to launch all of their nuclear weapons at Russia, with no consequences whatsoever. I don't think you thought this through. Even threatened to fire nuclear missiles at the UK. According to The Sun, London isn't in the UK. Its own separate entity. God, I wish. UK, US, Germany and Ukraine if Vladimir Putin doesn't get his way. Is that so? Because that's not what he said in his interview with Tucker, where he specifically stated World War III would lead to the end of human civilization, mutually assured destruction. He knows, regardless of what fiery rhetoric he says to world leaders and Russian state media for that matter. Putin's crony left a threatening message to the West. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev said Russia would unleash the entire arsenal on the West. Also, it wasn't actually Putin, it was Medvedev. Flippin' heck, they've gone all out on this one with the Photoshop. Yeah, now do the United States and the United Kingdom's arsenal. You don't need 6,000 nuclear warheads. You only need about 100 realistically to annihilate a country, which is exactly what the United Kingdom and France have. Oh look, the classic Poseidon's back. The nuclear submarine drone that can defy the laws of physics. The amount of energy you would need to create a tidal wave from an explosion is gargantuan, unlike anything any nation on Earth is capable of producing. To move such a large body of water, you would need an earthquake or an asteroid impact. So around 10 billion Hiroshima atomic bombs. Medvedev, a close Putin ally who served as president from 2008 to 2012, says Moscow is prepared to unleash Armageddon on their foes if they were defeated in a bloody war. Yeah, you said that before. Medvedev feared the West would only weaken Russia and return them to the 1991 borders if Putin was forced to give up parts of Ukraine he had invaded. 1991 borders. I think the more accurate term would be the pre-2022 borders, but okay. Will we have the courage to do this if the disappearance of a 1,000-year-old country, our great motherland, is at stake and the sacrifices made by the people of Russia over the centuries will be in vain? The answer is obvious. Hang on a second. I feel like this is being taken out of context because he's not talking about losing the war anymore. He's talking about a situation where if Russia was completely wiped out, the country was at threat of collapse because it was being invaded by a very powerful military force. That's what he's saying here, which is exactly what I'd expect him to say, and I'd expect bloody Joe Biden to say that. Not that he can. You know, like a last resort kind of thing. It's either this or we're dead anyway. Before blaming the West for trying to stir a violent civil war within Russia, who's doing that? He said on Telegram, tens of millions of victims, the death of our future, the collapse of everything in the world. Mate, I don't want a war with Russia. I can't speak for the idiots in Washington and London, though. I absolutely do think they're using the Ukraine war as a way of fighting Russia without actually fighting Russia. I'm looking at you, Boris Johnson. Do these idiots really believe the people of Russia will swallow such a division of their country? Before ending his tirade by asking Russia if they would rather live in a country fighting using nuclear weapons or a collapsing, dying country until Russia disappears. So it's to Russian people. That's what he's saying this to. So it's just propaganda and nonsense. It's just wartime propaganda. It's no different to Churchill saying, we will never give in. Never, never, never. We will never surrender. The kind of rhetoric you'd expect to hear from your leaders when you're fighting a bloody war, to say, no, we're not going to surrender and we will fight and die until to secure the existence of our people. Long story short, more BS from The Sun, as always. Towing the line. What I want to ask The Sun personally is, okay, now that you've said all that, what do we do? More weapons to Ukraine? More war? More funding death? More prolonging the inevitable, which is Russians and Ukrainians keep dying every day until eventually one of them is forced to start talking to the other. Where Zelensky will have to be forced to lift his ban on Ukrainian officials talking to Russian officials.